Let's talk Gorr. Fantastic origin opening scene. You immediately felt the tension and the kind of like depravity of being a follower of a god. It immediately showed you kind of like a god's demeanor, which was consistent throughout the film. It was awesome to watch, but it also showed us exactly what some of the flaws to come were going to be. In that there's going to be a level of depth missing. That origin went really quickly. We didn't really get to see Christian Bale interact with his daughter. His daughter just kind of died. And like that's a meaningful thing, but without it being ever so slightly earned, it's just like, okay, the daughter died. And then he's trapped in a desert. And that's okay, we could kind of understand what's happening. And then he hears a voice, which, okay, so he follows the voice and thought it was a god, but it actually was like the Necro Sword. And so the Necrosword was going to kill the god, but okay, so this human being can interact with the god. So the god's first time interacting with this human, that just happens. And then he's like, okay, there was someone who came to kill me. They had a Necrosword, and I'm just going to stop following you, and then I'm going to kill you. And the Necrosword now chooses a new host. And it just like, that all happens. And it might sound like I'm rambling. That actually all happens within like 4 minutes. But it's there. And Christian Bale really sells it. It just needed to be more. And so that actually stays kind of consistent throughout the film as well. Just very rushed gore behavior. The character design, impeccable, in my opinion. I loved everything about the character design. I loved the kind of like devout follower look that he still had. The kind of like peasant-y look. I love that black and white that they gave him with just the yellow eyes. I'm such a sucker for those kind of like Heimdall eyes. And it worked really well with like the fact that he was so bleak and everything else and so monochromatic. However, the fighting was okay. It wasn't bad in any way, shape, or form. And I think this is actually more in like general. It was very generic. It was all very well done. It was all kind of tight-knit. But it's kind of like, oh, we've done 4 Thor films now. Like, we might as well just, like, do Thor stuff. Like, they didn't have any, like, really titular moments. It was just, like, sword against axe, fight, dodge, dodge, dodge. And it was well done, but the choreography almost felt, like, uninspired. So I think having those big moments that you can remember, like the knife flip, in Winter Soldier, something like that, would have helped a lot. The abilities were interesting. They were super creepy, especially that beginning scene was very much inspired, if you've ever seen the movie Ghost with Patrick Swayze, and like the way that the shadows move, it was 100% inspired or taken from that film. And that film was very creepy in the way that it did that. So I love the way that the shadows were being manipulated. That was great. That was creepy. But the overall concept wasn't executed menacingly enough. In my opinion, the way that they made Multiverse of Madness the horror film, which I love, that was cool. This should have been the film that had the horror film kind of concept with Gorr's character. It should have been like, I should have been terrified every single time he was on screen, when I was more just really excited to watch Christian Bale kick ass as this character. Christian Bale's Gorr was honestly remarkable. I don't think I can sell it any other way. It was fantastic through and through. I love the choices he made as an actor. I love the moments where he kind of got into that like creepy smile laugh territory where he was almost like a little giddy, like a kid, almost like juxtaposing the fact that he lost his child, especially the way he interacted with the other kids. I loved all of that. It was there. The lines were delivered with so much like gravitas, almost like a little over the top, which was great because some of his lines were grounded in nature, calm demeanor, and then he would just like have fun with it. It was very interesting the way he kind of chose to do that. It really kept me engaged and it was awesome. However, it was actually the strength of his performance that really got you to understand the lack of depth there because you wanted so much more. But I want to see more of his interactions with the gods. Maybe he's slaying a few of them. Maybe they're trying to teach him that they're not all like that and he doesn't believe them. Some of that stuff. I want to see some interactions with the other characters where they try to teach him something and they don't just try to like kill him the whole time. And he doesn't really understand, but he kind of hears it in the back of his mind, but it's too much to bear the weight of his daughter's death and the fact that the gods forsaken him and the god that he worshipped was a piece of shit. And like, oh my God, I wanted to see all of that push and pull and that convincing and I can't do it. And I wanted to see that turmoil, inner turmoil, that external turmoil between characters that wasn't there. And the reason I knew it wasn't there is because I was so engaged with Christian Bale's Gorr. That ending scene with Eternity, so much, actually not so much, all of the lessons that were learned in that scene. They never even interacted with Gorr in a positive manner until that scene happened. There was nothing to indicate that anything like that would happen. And it went from like 0 to 10,000 in terms of the morale, the lessons that were learned, the decisions that were made in that scene. It was just like a lot that happened. And so that really showed me that I wanted more of that sprinkled throughout the film. He felt like a villain. He had purpose. He was crux to the story. But that was a disservice to Christian Bale's remarkable performance because I wanted him to feel like a character. I didn't want to watch him be there. I wanted to watch him be.